Where there are many visions, there is a division. We see it in the country politics. There are different views about the future of our country and how the government should run. But what we are left with is polarization and disunity on many important matters of policy. We see the same type of disunity within the church. There's competition between denominations, there's competition within denominations, there's also competition within many local churches. Different visions lead to divisions. But God does not have multiple vision. He has just one vision, and his vision is about saving the lost sinners. We strive together to seek the implication of this vision in our local context. Maintaining unity is difficult, but here are some important convictions to maintain if we are to stay unified. I'll take you through three important points. The first will be to honor those in the authority. Obey your leaders and submit to them, for they are keeping watch over your souls as those who will have to give an account. Let them do this with joy and not with groaning, for that would be of no advantage to you, says Hebrews chapter 13. Whether it's a pastor or a board meter, their job is not easy. They have been entrusted with the task to make difficult decisions. We may not always agree with their decision, but we must honor their decisions and trust they are seeking the Lord. That was why they were appointed to the position they were given. And the second most important point is to celebrate differences. As we see in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, as it is there are many body parts yet one body. Unity is not the same as uniformity. Diversity is not something to be celebrated within the church. We look different, we think different, we have different kinds of like and dislikes. We have different gifts. The church would be very boring if everyone was the same. Differences would sometimes lead to conflict, but we would do well to look for the opportunity in conflict. So, how do we grow from conflict? What are the lessons to be learned in conflict? And how is God refining us during the process of this conflict? The third important point is be a peacemaker. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the sons of God, says Matthew chapter 5. The amazing thing about God is that He was willing to embrace a humanity which was hostile towards Him. To make peace possible, He led with the love rather than justice. Rather than holding people accountable for their sins, He sent Jesus. God's love for sinners is relentless. Like God, we must be willing to lead with love rather than justice. In 2 Corinthians chapter 5, it says we are described as ministers of reconciliation. So we are agents of peace, and we strive for reconciliation by following God's example in what He did not count people's sins against them. He took their sins upon Himself, as we see in 2 Corinthians chapter 5 verses 18 to 20. For unity to exist, you must be willing to absorb the sin of others. A peacemaker must be willing to stand in the line of fire and sometimes get burned. So, what's our plan of action to give up on disunity? What's a sacrifice you need to make for the sake of unity? Think about that and just write it down. What are you holding on to of pride that's hindering unity in your relationship or your church or your work? Or you can also participate in the Lord's Supper this weekend with your other brothers and sisters in Christ to find unity with them in Christ's sacrifice. But let's give up on disunity.